Hello, YouTube. This is youmils03. It's been a number of years, I think, since I've done my most recent YouTube video. For those of you who have been following me since I was a little bit younger, I've done primarily a lot of car videos, going to car shows that were in my area when I was younger, growing up, being in middle school, a little bit in high school and college too, but usually that 13 to 16 or 17 years old, I was very interested in cars. So what I think I could do is, I think as I go through my 20s and I go into adulthood, I'm really going to want to keep my YouTube channel active, and I'm going to come up with more types of videos that I enjoy doing. What I wanted to do for this video is just tell you guys a little bit about myself, and I was thinking we could drink 6 screwdrivers relatively quickly. These are Smirnoff Ice screwdrivers. It's a tasty drink. You know, as you probably know, ciders and hard lemonades and things like that are often a more delicious alternative to beer. So you can see all these caps are on, right? I'm going to have to go ahead and twist it off. I'll see if I can do it in between my fingers, but if I can't, I'll probably use my shirt or something. Yeah, it does hurt a little bit. So I'm just going to take off the cap with my shirt, and it screws right off. And we're starting with an empty cup here. There's really no tricks here. I just thought I would drink and we could kick back a little bit. And I'm not an alcoholic, I promise, but it's 12:15 in the morning and my friends are asleep. So I figured, well, I'll just hang out with YouTube then and drink, because it's a Thursday morning at 12:15, and why not? So cheers. This is a big cup, so it's only like halfway full. I don't know how good the Zoom video is. I'm using Zoom to make this video. I don't know if you guys can see the liquid in there, but it should taste pretty good. It tastes kind of like orange juice, you know. It's essentially, I think it's orange juice just with a little bit of vodka. I think one of the disappointing things for me about the Smirnoff Ice screwdriver is that, if I remember correctly, from about 2 years ago or so, the screwdrivers used to have an alcohol by volume level of 5.8%, I think it was. So it was just a little bit stronger than. Apologies for the little interruption there. I was getting a phone call from my significant other, but now that 23 minutes have gone by, I'll go back to telling you the unfortunate thing about screwdrivers. I should have gotten a transparent cup so y'all could have seen how much was left, but I'm getting to the end of the first one. The first one is usually pretty quick. The problem with screwdrivers is that they used to be about 5.8% alcohol, so it's a little bit stronger than a standard drink, just by a smidge. So I guess if you drank, back in the day, 2 or 3 years ago, if you drank, 7 screwdrivers, that'll be equivalent to about 8 beers, okay? But now it's roughly the opposite. Now you get 4.5%. So your alcohol by volume is 4.5%, down from 5.8. That's 1.3%. That's something, okay? So now you have to drink 8 screwdrivers to get the effect of like 7 beers, okay? So that's why we got to drink them quickly if you want to feel anything, because for some reason this company made them weaker, and that just doesn't make any sense to me. But you have to be observant about things, and that's just, something that I'm very observant about is numbers, right? And you get accustomed to seeing things in a particular way. You go to the supermarket and an item's $5.99, and you buy it week after week after week. It's like a giant gourmet juice or chocolate milk, and it comes in this big gallon. It's $5.99, but then you come to the supermarket one week and you got 1 penny short of $6 in your pocket, ready to buy this item, and you go to the supermarket again, it's $6.29. It's not so much about the fact that 30 cents is a lot of money, which it's not, but it's the principle that you accustom people to paying a particular amount. Once you change that amount for the worse, for a higher value, people are going to be conceptually ticked off by that. And I've realized that I'm especially price sensitive, and I'm much, much, much less likely to pay for things if they get more expensive to any degree. Okay, so for you marketers out there, now you know how to make money from me, is just keep things at the same fucking price. Better to start high and end high than start low and end high, you know what I'm saying? But all right, well, that one's done. You can see we still got 5 screwdrivers left. We haven't been talking very long. What I wanted to do with this video is not just give you guys a sense of what I look like, but also a little bit about me. So I am one day short of being 26 years old. I graduated college a few years ago, 4 years ago now. Studied mathematics and engineering. I currently work at Boeing in St. Louis, Missouri. It's an aerospace and defense company. If you've ever flown from New York City to San Francisco, or from New York City to Seattle, or New York City to Miami, or New York City to Houston, odds are you've heard of Boeing. And so they actually produce not just commercial airplanes. You know, when people hear Boeing, they think of, oh yeah, I've taken a plane before. What you have to remember is that Boeing also does a lot with defense. So they do a lot with weapons, military planes. And, you know, you have these attackers and these basically fighters that are in the air, and they have lots of weapons and ordnances, right? And lots of artillery and guns and ammunition and things like that. So you just have to remember that different companies could have different industries and products and markets. And so Boeing doesn't just do commercial aerospace, they also do aerospace for defense, you know. And so that's kind of what I've been involved in the past 2 years, without getting into too many details that I might not actually be allowed to talk about. But that's essentially the nature of the work that I do now. I'm also a tutor. So one of the things I do with my evenings and sometimes my night times, you know, with the virus and everything, activities have been down. And so what do you do when you're bored on a Friday or Saturday night? So a lot of people like to go out and things like that. But again, with the world still being sort of kind of shut down, not really, but in the recent past, it was, right? I have been doing a lot of tutoring. So I like to explain my understanding of math, technology, computer programming concepts to other people. I make a little bit of money from it, but I do it almost as much because I enjoy it as because it pays money, if that makes sense. It's the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, right? And it's unfortunate that most people have jobs and go to work literally to put food on the table and pay the gas bill. It would be cool if there was a larger cohort, if there was a larger critical mass of people who actually like enjoyed what they do 40 hours a week. I mean, you're talking about a little less than half, not quite half, but not too short of half of people's waking hours that they spend at work. And it's like, in an ideal world, you would want people to be just as excited about Monday morning as they would be about Friday afternoon. You know, if you think really radically, maybe you'll be more excited about Monday morning, right? Because then you go get to do something that you're good at. You know, you wake up next to your spouse or something, and you're like, oh yeah, I get to go to work right now, and I get to make a difference, and I get to go do something that doesn't just pay the bills, but also is something that is stimulating and that uses my mind and that enables the world to progress a little bit. So yeah, but it's a very, very, you know, dollar-oriented society, and people often chase the the higher dollar more than the higher satisfaction. And I just think that life is so short that as long as you're making 60 or 70 or $80,000 a year, you should just find a job that you enjoy doing. And it's unfortunate that so many people struggle to make ends meet. And it's just, there's so many unforeseen costs and expenses in the world, right? And it's like people section out parts of their income for food and for housing and electric and internet and water. And it's like, those are never things that you're going to get away with not paying for. But little things come up too. And it's like that people send you little bills in the mail. Oh, you got to pay a credit card charge that you didn't foresee ahead of time, or there's a new policy at your bank where you have to pay $5 every time you make a withdrawal, and there are unforeseen expenses that come up. So really at the end of the day, there's pretty much one way to make money and millions and millions and millions and millions of ways to lose it. So it's just, finances are such a trip, and money is so weird, and it drives people to really interesting and strange behaviors. But without getting off on too tangential of a monologue, I would just say that with regard to my work at Boeing, it pays decently, but I am actually looking for other engineering companies. So I'm thinking of relocating to Phoenix, Arizona in the next few weeks to join a satellite communications company. So hopefully that would be a lot of fun and stimulating. Back to the screwdriver news. I'm still only about halfway through my second one. So this could end up being a pretty long video, and I hope that I'm going to be able to hash out enough topics to converse with all of you. But going forward, I don't know, maybe I'll have these tag ups every month or 2 or 3, maybe 6 months, maybe just every 12 months. And then if you guys write comments underneath this video or questions that you have for me or things that you want me to talk about, maybe I could go ahead and bring that up in the corresponding, in the future videos, and that this could be something that hopefully maybe gains traction and maybe something that you guys want to see. Or it'll have 32 views 3 years in, and then I'll know that this was not a successful hit. But I was bored on a Thursday morning, so it's not wasted time. Just drinking and letting you guys learn a little bit more about me. Wrong pipe there. I don't know what some of y'all's favorite drinks or beers or alcoholic beverages are. Earlier in this video, I described lemonades and ciders and sweet teas and things like that as more flavorful alternatives to beer. If we take a break from political correctness for about 15 seconds, it seems like the misguided generalization is that guys tend to prefer beer and women tend to prefer wine or seltzers or maybe something a little bit juicier, something a little bit sweeter. I'm about the girliest guy that guys get by that characterization. The only thing I drink is screwdrivers and juices, because why the fuck would you drink piss when you could drink lemonade or juice or strawberry margarita? These things just taste better. There are better ways to do things that have already come into existence. You think about cigarettes. People enjoyed cigarettes for a long time. And then the past decade or two, you have these vapes coming out, these vaporizers, and it's healthier for people's lungs, and they can do it inside without damaging the interior walls. So it's like, once you come up with a better way to achieve the same effect, do it. Why would you smoke a cigarette when you could hit a vape? Why would you drink beer when you could drink a screwdriver? Don't get me wrong, there is a time and place for certain beers. I do like authentic IPAs, a couple of stouts from time to time. Some of the darker beers, honestly, some of the sweeter, kind of more dessert type beers, like maybe a chocolate or a peanut butter stout or something like that. Just something pretty dark and heavy and, just goes down smoothly. I'm fine with a beer every now and then, but if I had $100 to spend on either screwdrivers or authentic beer, I'll go screwdrivers. It's just a delicious drink. It's a nice container. It's nice packaging. It really does not taste like alcohol. And suddenly you just keep drinking them and drinking them and drinking them on hot summer days, and suddenly you feel something. And so people go on float trips around here. People go whitewater kayaking. But when you're talking about those days in July and August and the beginning of September, when it's 94 degrees outside, it doesn't hurt to have a cold drink in your hand. So now that there are 4 drinks left, a little more than 4 drinks left, I'm still finishing on my second. What I will say about this video is that there was no planning or forethought that went into this clip. I didn't think about the topics that were going to be addressed in this video ahead of time. This is really just me spewing out thoughts as a result of being bored and not having a tremendous amount of things to do on Thursday morning at 12:52 a.m. So that's just what's going on right now. I wish I could ask you guys questions and have this be a little bit more of a interactive or a live experience, but there is something fun about making YouTube videos. It's nice to watch YouTube videos and to scroll around, search around. It's really what people do. It's like more and more frequently I like ask my friends, oh yeah, how's your weekend? Good to see you on a Monday morning. What'd you do this weekend? Oh, I just hung out. I just drank, watched YouTube videos. Like YouTube is like the TV that a lot of people watch these days, just these little clips on YouTube. But what I think is at least as fun as watching videos on YouTube is making videos on YouTube. So if you can step out of your comfort zone, or you don't even have to step out of your comfort zone, but if you can find themes and topics and content that you're interested in, and you want to expand the video options of people who are also interested in that content, you could contribute to the field. So, you know, if you discover a new vaccination to a new virus that comes out in this world one day, you should create a YouTube video and tell people about it. But it's just, it's nice to be able to create a YouTube video again, A, because it's been so many, or I say so many, at least like probably like at least 2-3 years since I made a YouTube video, and B, because this is literally the first time where I show my face. I have another YouTube video which looks like down at my shirt, and it's me playing the saxophone. It's like, oh yeah, this is the George Lopez opening theme song. And I got my saxophone in it, but it like cuts me off right here, because when I was 12 or 13 years old, I was way too insecure, way too worried about what people would think of me if they saw my appearance. So I just did to share my face. But it's good to be open and transparent and just stretch yourself out there, put yourself out there, and get to meet new people, you know, make communities and take advantage of the resources that you have. Okay, we are officially at the almost halfway point. I have 4 left. So I hope you guys aren't getting too bored of my monologue. I know that probably a lot of you just watched 15 seconds or 45 seconds and said, what's up with this guy? But others of you just want me to fucking come up with something different and interesting to say. So I'm trying to do that. Politics is a big topic of conversation. I don't want my YouTube channel to become political. I will probably stray away from videos that bring up a lot of political details. I certainly don't want to get into a space where I'm sharing my thoughts or opinions about too many political topics. I don't want to alienate people. If I have people who are subscribed to me and then I came out with a video where they said something that they disagreed with, or they had a hard time getting on board with me about something that I said, I wouldn't want that to be cause for losing a subscriber. What I will say, there's one halfway political YouTube video that I did put up when I was a little bit younger, and it's a legalized marijuana YouTube video. And so when I was like 15 or 16 or 17 years old, I made this little YouTube video, and I think it's honestly just the Star Wars credits. Like, you just get that yellow text, and it's like it sort of comes away from you, and it's like really big, right? And then it just kind of like goes out further and further away. And it's just kind of a starry background, right? Like a Star Wars opens. But it's just me enumerating the reasons why I thought cannabis should be legalized. And man, it's a no-brainer. I mean, that's something that it should be obvious to you. The idea that the economy could improve, that we could free people from prison, that we could take away the ability of police officers to be racist assholes who punish blacks more than whites for smoking pot, even though they don't smoke any more pot than their white counterparts. That part, we should do away with that. So that requires us to legalize cannabis. It's great for white people. It's even better for black people because of this racist marginalization that we've had in the criminal justice system. And all we need to do is just strip away the ability of cops to arbitrarily enforce procedures that end up doing way more harm than good, especially from the standpoint of racial equity. So that's my 2 cents on that. You can't remove something from a planet simply by saying it's illegal. Tried alcohol, didn't work. American economy didn't make any money. Before Budweiser, people were drinking, but the economy wasn't making money. So you got that. You got cannabis, right? We're seeing that in the 1980s, 90s, 2000s. Before cannabis was like really legal, a lot of people smoked weed during the Clinton years, the Bush years, the Obama years. And it's become more and more prevalent despite the actions by police officers to suppress and ruin the lives of people who are caught with it, and to criminalize it, and to make it seem like people who smoke weed or even sell weed are just bad, horrible people. And to no degree are they bad people. If anything, to some degree, they're great people, because usually they're a little bit more easygoing, a little bit easier to get along with, okay? So that's just my 2 cents about that. But in general, I'm going to try to not politicize my YouTube channel. So that's just one take on a particular issue, But I'm not going to try to talk overly about politics during my YouTube channel, just because that's just about the most polarizing topic you could bring up with someone, except for maybe religion. But yeah, politics and religion are hard icebreaker topics, you know, even with a best friend, even with a brother, even with a spouse. It's like, honestly, even with those kinds of people, it's like these topics just end up having more of an effect of irritating people and drawing boundaries and lines of separation and contention than they do of advancing human thought and advancing conversation. Okay. So yeah. I'm in my apartment right now. I live in St. Louis, Missouri. The rent costs $725 a month. Doesn't include electric, doesn't include gas, doesn't include Wi-Fi. So my rule of thumb is, in general, when someone's trying to sell me an apartment lease, just add like $150 to that, because they don't fucking give you anything to live with. It's like, oh, here's a space, but don't think you're going to be able to use any water or internet or take hot showers or plug in your phone, because all that shit's extra. It's not like that should ever be part of living expenses, right? It's not like a normal person would ever need to take a hot shower or go onto YouTube or use the toaster. Like that totally shouldn't be in a living situation, right? I guess I just don't understand why utilities, the cost of utilities are separate from the cost of living. If it costs $932 to live in an apartment, that's what it should cost to live in an apartment, not 1108. It's like planet Earth, like welcome to the world of unforeseen fees and expenses. And you got all these fucking companies saying something's going to cost $49, but there's no goddamn way that you're going to get that product or that service if all you do is pay $49. You show up to the store and it's $57. Oh, there's this tax. Oh, there's this fee. And there's no transparency. Okay. So that's just unfortunate. And you just have to ask. You have to do your research ahead of time and don't show up unprepared, because these assholes are going to lie to you online. Southwest, oh, fares is always $49. Fuck that. You're going to go on, you're going to click the 49. It's going to say, okay, we're going to process your credit card for $67 because of the 9/11 security fee. Well, then don't fucking tell me. Don't fucking tell me that the flight only costs $49 then. Okay. I'm just going to pull the other $18 right out of my ass because you didn't tell me that I needed that ahead of time. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how long this video is going to end up being. It's probably going to be in the neighborhood of 1 to 2 hours. Maybe slightly more than 2 hours. But at that point, if this video becomes 2 hours, the only person I'm really giving content to is myself, because I would be impressed but stunned if someone wants to watch this video for 2 hours. You know, sometimes people just like to hang out and they just like to have someone just say easygoing things and just talk. You know, it's like a radio, it's like a monologue on SNL, but it's just a little bit of talking at the beginning. Okay. There's no stressful dialogue, but sometimes you just got to listen to people talk about simple shit. By the way, this is number 4. So I'm literally at the halfway point. This one's pretty full. I really just, I'm really trying to show it to you guys, but I'm not trying to spill orange juice and vodka on my $1,200 MacBook Air. But yeah, so then there's only going to be 2 more after this. I just been pouring them in. I don't know if you guys have really been able to see me putting them into this cup, but I mean, I'm getting through them, right? You saw the full bottles at the beginning, and you can already see we're making serious progress. There's 3 drinks here, and then of course 1 in the cup. And in a world of capitalism, we don't like to waste resources, and we just have to get every goddamn drip. Because if California's going through a drought, but if I get to my 60s or 70s and there's a mega drought there, I don't want people saying, oh, why didn't you drink those last few drops in that bottle? No, we have to use resources to our advantage, right? It's like you see a penny on the sidewalk, pick it up. Dollars are made out of pennies. Houses are made out of millions. Millions are made out of dollars, right? But it all trickles down. Pennies make up everything, at least as far as money goes. But I heard that it actually costs more. It actually costs more to produce a penny than the cost that spending a penny would alleviate, if that makes sense. Like maybe it costs 1.3 cents to produce a penny. Now that really is very, 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 very illogical, okay? Even if we charge Jeff Bezos for every penny that we ever create in this country, eventually he's going to be broke, okay? Because we're going to keep printing pennies, but It's all about discretizing money, right? If we didn't have pennies and nickels and dimes, we'd only have quarters, right? So you can't have something be 68 cents. It would have to either be 50 or 75. Well, 75 is a little bit much and 50 is not quite enough. But pennies allow for precision in our financial system, but they're not really a pragmatic form of payment. I just think you should pick them up anyway, because once you get 5 pennies, you get a nickel. Once you get 5 nickels, you get a quarter. Once you get 4 quarters, you get $1. Once you get $20, you get a 20. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. What else to talk about? Summertime. I don't know where all y'all are living. I don't know how many of my viewers are from the United States. I think there's an analytics tool. There's a website that I could go on, sort of get a sense of what the demographic statistics or information is with regard to my viewership. But I don't know where all y'all are living for the summer, or where all y'all are living any time of year. But it's summer now. It's June 17th. That's summer. And it's getting pretty high in St. Louis. Okay, I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, like I said earlier. And in July or August, it comes up to just about 90 degrees every single day. Some days it'll only come up to 82. Other days you'll probably push 100. Okay. In California, where I grew up in San Francisco, they have no summers there. The hottest it gets in San Francisco is like 70. Okay. And you can have days in August or July that are only come up to 65. Okay, it'd be a stretch to call that summer. Okay, summer. But I like the hot. I like the hot weather. I like the heat. I like the long days. I like how it's bright and how I sweat. I'd rather me be sweating when it's bright out than me be shivering in the dark. I think that's why my perception of hell is not a hot place with lots of fire and lava. It's a cold, gloomy place where everyone is sad. Okay, that's hell. So anyway, I don't know how much else we can say about the weather, but you have all different kinds of climates in the United States. I think it wouldn't bother me to move somewhere. I think I said earlier in this video that I was considering a job opportunity in Phoenix, Arizona. So they have dry, thin sunshine there, okay? And it's nice in November, December, January, February, and March. And from June, July, and August, it's absolute hell. It's 112 degrees, but that stuff never bothers me, okay? Because if it's hot, you soak it up for a little while. It's like putting a blanket on. It's like being in a hot tub. It's like being in a sauna. People like hot. So if it's 114 degrees, soak up a little bit of it for 5 minutes, and then you can come back inside. Get that vitamin D. Get that D, okay? You'd rather get that D when it's 109 degrees than when it's 15. So enjoy the summer and embrace it. Because in December and January and February, people are always like, oh, I wish it was warmer out. But it's like, that means, but if you're going to say that, then don't bitch in July and August when it's 87. It's not that hot. 95, not that hot. Ovens go to 300 degrees, 400 degrees, okay? If you're not in an oven, you ain't got to be tripping. What else? I'm probably just going to take a minute to take a break, clear my thoughts, come up with something else to say. I'm going to a quick website on my other laptop right now, but we'll resume in just a moment. I'm not going anywhere, but I am going to take a quick verbal break. It's 1:12 in the morning, and I'm just getting a little tipsy now. I don't know what you guys think, but it's like when you stay up really late, like 1:12 is not really late, but if I made it to 3 or 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, what's the fucking point of sleeping? Just fucking stay up. Because then if you go to sleep at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, you're gonna sleep until it's 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning. The sun's high as fuck in the sky, and you just missed half of your day's priorities. And that happens to me a few times, but it's just like I'd rather pull an all-nighter than get 2 hours of sleep. Because once you fall into that 2 hours of sleep, oh, it feels so good. And then 2 minutes later, it's over, right? Like you hit the hay, you're like, oh yeah, I had a great time hanging out with my friends, going out tonight. It's 4:37 in the morning, and you wake up, and it's like 7:15, and your friend's mom is like, oh, you got it, you and your friends have got to leave. I'm trying to clean up the house. I got company over tomorrow. You got to get the hell out of here. And it's like, and you got home, you started sleeping at 4:37, right? But it's like 7:15 or 7:45. It's like just 3 hours later, and you're so fucking dead. Honestly, I'm sleepier after a nap than I am before. Like it feels nice to soothe into it, and then you come out of it, and if you come out of a nap the wrong way, it's just hell. It's so counterproductive. It makes you so much groggier, and it just makes you want to seep into a nap all that much more. So it's like, why even invite yourself to do that? Just yawn a couple times throughout the day. Your eyes are going to feel a little bit heavy, but then the next night you go to bed a little bit earlier, maybe 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and sleep till 8 o'clock in the morning. 9 or 10 hours to make up for the night you lost. But I'd rather pull an all-nighter and then sleep 10 hours than sleep 4 or 5 hours on each of 2 nights. Anyway. My theory about alcohol is that it seems like you lose 1 drink of intoxication per hour. Okay. So if you take 8 shots, after 6 hours, you should be good to drive. 8 minus 6 is 2, right? That's why I try to drink these screwdrivers as quickly as I can, because if you're trying to maximize intoxication, you drink as quickly as possible so that you try to beat the clock on this stuff, right? Like if you drink slowly, basically you're just keeping up with the rate that it's wearing out at. But if you drink hella fast, you can get ahead of that, right? And you can get actually more and more inebriated. And to a limited extent, that's what I'm trying to do right now. But when you have a full stomach and stuff, that's the difference between beer or screwdrivers, right? And hard liquor, okay? Because if you're full and you just had a giant ass meal, you can take shots. But you can't drink 5 beers if you just had dinner. Ugh. You just burp over and over and over again, and you want to get drunk, but you can't get drunk because your stomach hurts, and you're like, fuck, I'm full and sober, and I hate it. But that's why you drink and then eat, rather than eat and then drink. But anyway. But that's the opposite of what your parents will tell you when you go to college, or what you tell your kids when they turn 18. You're going to be like, oh, make sure you eat before you go out tonight, because I don't want you getting too obliterated. My first night at college, I woke up in the hospital. I mean, I didn't drink it. I honestly, the reason why that happened is because I didn't drink in high school. I wasn't ready for what I had coming for me at college, and I woke up in the fucking ER. Apparently I was transported in an ambulance and stuff without any knowledge, just not coherent, not conscious at all. It's just scary shit. People take it to such excess, and it's okay once or twice, right? Like when you're just establishing your limits. you know, people get hammered, right? And they go a little too hard and they get into a little bit of trouble. And it's like, it's almost admirable. It's like, oh, yeah, man, you got so black out last night. That was so funny. But it's like, if you do it over and over and over again, then you probably have a problem. So, anyway. Not sure what good movies y'all have seen recently. I watched the Chicago 7 recently. I thought Sacha Baron Cohen did a good job in that. I guess he's from England or something, right? And he has curly hair, and he takes a way more serious role in it, right? And you think of him as this goofy Bruno Borat guy, right? It says all these ridiculous things, but then in Chicago 7, he's saying all these like intelligible, important, serious things, like, "Oh, you need to let us protest, right? You needed to give us that right." But it's so weird when you go from seeing someone in a really funny and goofy context to someone in a more serious context. The only other example I can readily think of that is like Jordan Peele, right? That guy, he did Key and Peele. He's a goofy dude, and then he like suddenly becomes a movie director, and for all these horror movies, it's like this fucking goofy ass guy is trying to make a horror movie. I don't think so, but it was a good one. The Get Out movie was kind of interesting. So people can have a lot of talents, and just because they make you laugh doesn't mean that's the only thing that they're good at. So, but yeah, that was my experience with Chicago 7. Another good movie that was on Netflix a few months ago. I watched it this past summertime, like end of March, early April. It's called I Care a Lot. Man, basically it's about this con artist who goes into rich people's houses and basically convinces a court judge that these elderly people who are wealthy, very, very wealthy, I should note, cannot take care or provide for themselves. And these are perfectly healthy people who need no assistance of their own. These are people who are 70 years old. They're past the job years, right? It's like the sunset years, right? Where you can just be comfortable in your own home, still do exercise and enjoy yourself for a good 10, 15 years, right? That's the sunset years, the prime time. People look forward to that time, but not when they have this asshole who's trying to uproot their lives and their wealth and everything that they've worked hard for. So this woman basically preys on elderly people who get band-aided without good reason, but technically with legal jurisdiction, to go into senior living homes and basically forego all of their wealth and their fortunes and their assets, which are in these houses that this woman tries to just sell. And she says she just pockets the fortunes and the earnings and the assets for herself and leaves these poor old people. I say poor, but they're not poor, right? They're emotionally poor, right? At least these old people she leaves them poor, right? Like she leaves them with nothing. So no pun intended there, but they become poorer people, right? Because they're getting taken advantage of. But yeah, so that's kind of that movie, and it was kind of interesting because eventually one of the clients that she tries to take advantage of has people in her family who are not necessarily going to be as okay with what she's doing as she is with what she's doing. And so that movie was pretty dramatic. I liked the first half. I honestly liked the first half. It's one of those movies where it's just like you watch like an hour of it and you're like, oh yeah, that's a cool story. And in my opinion, I don't want to spoil anything, right? But the second half it let me down a little bit. But honestly, just go watch the first half of the movie. Just watch half of the movie and figure out whether it has piqued your interest enough to keep going with it. I just think at least the first half is pretty interesting and it sets up a good story. The finishing was not as good, but the beginning was a pretty cool premise. It's a woman named for the actor in that, it's damn it, what's her name? It's like a Rosamund Pike. The cool thing about that movie is that she acts as an American woman. I won't lose, right? But in truth, she's actually from like England or London or Britain or something like that. And it's like kind of cool. It's like weird when you watch a movie and you think someone's American, and then you are interested enough in the movie that you watch some YouTube videos about the movie, and you have this woman, you have Rosamund Pike talking about it, and she's completely British, and she's like, "Oh yes, that was a good setup that we did. I wasn't sure how the other characters were going to react." And it's like, "Oh, I didn't know you had an accent." But it's like that has to make a role twice as difficult when you don't just have to remember your lines. You have to fucking say them in this really careful, engineered way that will make someone think that you belong to a culture or an ethnicity or a nationality that you don't. And she did a good job with that. And Well, I think we're about an hour into this video. It's a little bit hard to tell because I did have to pause right now. So technically I started this video over an hour ago, but we probably haven't been airing for quite an hour just because I know we had to do a little intermission, which I have edited out of this video by the time that you are watching it. Okay. So just a status update on how these screwdrivers are going. I'm really going to run out of things to talk about here, but we only have two more. We have a full cup and then we have one more drink. So that's what's going to be happening now. Yeah, be curious. Any feedback, any comments that you guys want to write on this video, any comments or questions, or, oh, what's your opinion on this movie? Or how much money do you make? Fucking ask me anything and I'll tell you. And I'll say, hey, this YouTuber told me to answer this question. I'm going to answer it, okay? At the end of the day, logically, it's my discretion to figure out what questions I will answer and what topics I respond to. But I'd like to believe that I'm going to make myself available for 99% of what you guys have in mind. And so just give me food for thought with my videos. Just put things in the comments, things that you want to see, more things that you want to know, concerns that you had with the way this video is made, fucking anything you want. And I'll read through it and I'll be like, oh, this is my first time doing this. And so all the feedback and the constructive criticism that I can get about these TED Talks is probably going to add value. I don't know if this is going to be a recurring thing or this is just a one-off video, but I thought I'd at least give you guys a chance to just listen to something easy while I show you what I look like and tell you a little bit more about myself, more so than what you would know from my other videos. Well, I'm just starting to get like a borderline. In my opinion, there are essentially four categorizations, four levels of drunkenness that someone could feel, right? And these are not quantized, right? These are not, these are kind of arbitrary, right? It's a spectrum, right? You're either a little bit drunk or you're really drunk, and it's not really discrete chunks. But I like to think of 4 amounts of drunkenness. The first one is what I call borderline buzzed. So that means that basically what you're feeling is just subtle. Like maybe you just had 2 or 3 glasses of wine or something. You're socializing at a party or something, and everything's just maybe a little bit louder. Or for some reason, you just feel a little bit more inclined to talk to people, right? It's kind of just the social things, or it just sort of turns on a couple of extra lights in your head. I honestly think that people perform actually on their best when they have about 2 or 3 drinks in them. Just a smidge. I just feel like it turns on more things. It kind of activates something else in your brain, right? And it just kind of exposes this creativity and reduces your inhibition just a little bit in such a way that it actually enables you to perform better in social scenarios, okay? Borderline tipsy, not drunk, not feeling weird or anything, but just a little something, right? You can drive a car, you're fine. The second level of the 4 is tipsy, okay? And so tipsy, what you're talking about. How many drinks is it? Well, for everyone, it's different, right? I'm a skinny guy, okay? But I've been drinking a lot for the past 5-6 months, so my tolerance is pretty high. So it's like it takes me at least 4 or 5 drinks to get a little bit buzzed, right? So 5-6 drinks at the party. If I do 5 shots, I'm starting to be a little bit extra social, right? I'm trying to probably starting to be a little bit extra entertaining, maybe slinging a couple of words, right? But I'm generally pretty coherent, pretty social. I wouldn't necessarily say at my best, but I'm not too far beyond it either. I'm just very energetic, vibrant, very, very into the social dynamic, a little bit more likely to drink, a little bit more likely to make a joke, right? That's tipsy. It's really ingrained in the environment, a little bit drunk, but not drunk, right? And then the third level is like, okay, you're starting to get intoxicated, right? It's like sort of the halfway point between buzzed and wasted, right? It's like maybe stumbling a little bit, maybe sloshing your words a little bit, but still not as blackout as someone could technically be. A little bit drunk, a little bit uncoordinated, pretty stupid, probably shouldn't drive, okay? But it's not the drunkest anyone has ever been. And then the fourth level is just your goddamn monkey. You're just off the walls and you can't think straight. You can't go anywhere. Those field sobriety tests with the dumbass police officers who probably like stumbling around, probably hitting your head on the cop car or something like that. That's a bad night for you, right? And that's going to be a bad DUI or something if they charge you with 4 out of 4 drunkenness while you're driving a car. So don't do that. If you're going to drive drunk, keep it at the first civil. You can have 2 or 3 beers and drive a car, but don't have 8 beers and drive a car unless, as we talked about earlier, you wait 6 or 7 hours because you lose roughly 1 drink an hour. On that scale, I would say that I'm probably a 1 out of 4. My mind feels slightly more open. I feel maybe slightly more active, a little bit more vibrant than I would before the production of this video. But at 4.5% alcohol, it's going to take a lot of these things to get you drunk. So that's why I'm bringing the 6-pack. Feel a little something here in a little bit. It's 1:31 in the morning. My goal is going to be to finish this up here in the next 29 minutes. So I'm going to leave you with about 1.5 to 2 hour video. And that'll be your content. That'll be the content that you have to go off of and what you can use and listen to and just enjoy for yourself. Okay, I've made some comments and I've made some opinions in this video, and you don't have to agree with all of them. If you have other food for thought, or you think that what I said, one of the perspectives that I brought to the table, missed an angle that you want to shed light on, then go ahead and say it, and we can hear about what you have to say. Okay, but this is my first time doing this video, and this is just, these are the things that are on my head at 1:30 in the morning. Well, for the last one, I think I'm just gonna keep trying to fill up my cup as best as possible, just so that we can sort of get a sense of how much time is left. So what I'm gonna do is I have my screwdriver here. Just used my t-shirt to take off the last of 6 bottle caps. This is still pretty full. I'm still on drink number 5. What I'm gonna do is just to start pouring in some of drink number 6. What I have in this red Budweiser cup is a pretty damn full, like 98% full screwdriver. And then this is the only other shit that I would have left to polish off. And then that would be 6 drinks here in about 2 hours. So according to my calculations, you know, if you do the 6 drinks, right? 6 drinks and they're 4.5%. So really they're more like 5.5 drinks. You lose an hour or two. So I'll probably be like 4 drinks in by the end of this video. So really, like, on those 4 levels I was telling you guys about, it's the lowest level. Okay, it's not stone cold sober, but it's not more than 1 level above that either. It's honestly just, at this point, it's just my body getting full. That's why I'm burping and sticking out my tongue and stuff. It's just my body is getting full faster than I'm getting drunk. And it's just going to have to cope with that because I'm going to keep drinking. I'm not trying to drag this out over another 20 minutes or so, over more than another 20 or 25 minutes or so. Is probably the most I want to be doing with you guys. So yeah. This is what the cap looks like. It's this little orange thing. I don't have a good idea of knowing how good the quality is on here, but you can see it's like a dark orange cap. You know, pretty simple bottle, simple stylistic bottle, Smirnoff Ice. 4.5% here. It used to be 5.8. Makes a difference after a while, at least. It's like you used to be able to get away just drinking 45 screwdrivers to get hammered. Now you have to drink 58. Think of it that way. But anyway, I don't know why the fuck they did that. Maybe there were incidents where people were drinking too many screwdrivers and getting into trouble, and then there were complaints to the police, complaints to the company. Be like, please make this drink less strong. It gets a lot of people into a lot of trouble. I don't know why the hell they did that, but it's just, am I the only person in the fucking universe that notices that? Because the Smirnoff, I mean, they used to do a couple of different types of drinks, right? So they had what's that, lemon lime ice, right? Like they have a lemon lime ice. I forget what they call it. Like citrus or something, but it's like a lemon lime flavor. And that was always at like 4.3 or 4.5%. It's not a very strong drink. But this used to be at 5.8. So it's a little bit stronger. But apparently they just did away with that. I think I'm gonna do another pause to use the restroom, and I'll be right back. Hey YouTube, sorry I had to step away one more time. I had to use the use the restroom. So it's about 1:40 in the morning here. Started recording about an hour and a half ago, but we've had a couple of interruptions. We're probably only at about an hour of content, roughly, a little over maybe. I'm just gonna finish off this big cup of screwdriver, and then we'll adjourn, and I'll tell you about the difference in my mental state between the beginning and now. I mean, it's slightly different, but not anything too serious. It tastes like OJ. Like I could fucking wake up and drink some screwdrivers and head off to school. Hey son, don't forget your daily OJ. Oh, thanks, Dad. How many are you gonna give me today? Oh, I'm gonna give you 5, so you finally grow some balls to talk to that girl in your chemistry class. Yeah, cannabis is my preferred drug of choice, though, guys. I mean, cannabis is where it's at. It feels absolutely amazing. It's easy to get. It's never made anyone do anything wrong or violent or destructive. It's just the opposite of that. And we need a lot more weed in our society. We'd lead to fewer wars, more lives saved, more money saved. It's just the right way to go. So. I'm gonna give a shout out or a reference to a YouTube channel named Shoe Nice. And it's this middle-aged guy who just eats the craziest shit as fast as he can. And he can down a bottle of Absolute in like 30 seconds. It's vodka. And that's fucking insane. He's also in the past eaten weird things. Like you'd be talking about like crayons, glue, lit candles, probably like paint, pencils. How does a immune system, how does someone's stomach, how does someone's bladder, how does anyone's organs, body organs keep up with that? That's insane. But yeah, he's pretty funny. You know, it's just entertaining to watch this guy eat the craziest shit as fast as he can. It's just so ridiculous and berserk. It like makes you laugh. It's like how unconventional and not normal is that? So it's kind of cool to watch him do those food related stunts. Okay. So what else I have to tell you, to talk to you guys about, tell you about. So also with this, I'm not going to let you guys go until I'm actually finished off with this. You're going to have to let yourself go if you don't want to. Oh, shit. See, I just fucking spilled all this screwdriver right on my fucking tablecloth. That's why I didn't want to show you guys. But it's not your fault. It's my fault. A couple of drops on the MacBook Air, but that's cool. It's only 1,300 bucks. Yeah, anyway, aside from the tiny quantity that just spilled conveniently on my tablecloth, other than that, I still have most of the drink left. All right, guys. Well, it's 1:52. We're almost to the end here. If you haven't noticed, one of the things I did do, I don't know if you can hear it in the back. I turned on the AC. The air conditioning in my apartment is about 86 degrees in my apartment, so I figured, wouldn't hurt to make it a little bit cooler. Probably got to also close the windows. It's warmer outside, but anyway. Yeah. I'm a much bigger fan of paying for heat than I am of paying for AC. I would rather be a little too hot and stuffy in an apartment than cold and drafty. I mean, you go into an apartment for shelter, for protection of the elements. It's supposed to be a warm place. Okay. You want to turn on the heat in the winter, but you don't necessarily want to turn on the AC in the summer. There's only so much heat. Summer is only so long. You got to enjoy it while it still lasts, because if you strip it off too quick and then November, December comes around, you're going to feel like you didn't get your daily dose. You're going to be like, why did I turn off that heater? Why did I turn off that AC? And why did I turn on that AC in August? You know, because, yeah, that's all there is to it. It's just people spending money on things. You got to figure out what to spend money on and what not to spend money on. The hard thing with utility companies is that a lot of utility companies often have essentially a monopoly on the particular district that they serve, you know, and it's like that's for some reason, according to some law or whatever, it's like that's the only utility company that's allowed to exist in the area. But it's like that leaves things kind of arbitrary, right? Because if you only have one electrical or gas company in the area, multiply all their rates by a factor of 10, like I guess technically, who's to stop who's to stop the company from doing that? Fewer customers? Well, not necessarily. People need electric and gas and water. I mean, they would just use very, 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 very sparing amounts of it. But the monopoly thing sucks because it's like you got companies who are dominating the whole market, and you as the consumer are left to their whim. And it's like you're the prey and they're the predator. You know what I'm saying? So it's always good when you have more perfect competition. That's why I've been an advocate of capitalism and just having the government step off a little bit so that the free market can run its course and figure out the best options for people. You know, it's like when you used to, in the 90s, when you were arriving at an airport or something, you took a flight, you were arriving at an airport and you needed to get to an actual destination, like a house or something, you would call a taxi and that would make you about $47 poorer. Well, now you pay for an Uber and it's like 18 bucks and you don't have to grab your wallet, you know, it just goes through your phone. Like that's a better system. So, I don't know where I was going with all that, but it's just, I'm all about free market capitalism and competition and having the price reduced because of the electric companies. It makes sense to pay for some things, but not for others. But it's like, why are you charging me $847 to live in this apartment? Did you assume that I wasn't going to want heating or lighting or Wi-Fi or gas or fresh air or a stove or anything like that? Yeah, fuck all that. That totally shouldn't be included in the cost of living. But yeah, I'm getting through with this, so probably got another 5 or 10 minutes, and we're gonna wrap things up, folks. But I'll say one more time, if you guys have any ideas for videos, oh, what's something that we can ask youmils03 to do? Or you guys have any questions? Oh, I appreciate you sharing that background information, but tell me about this, tell me about that. I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know what kind of content you guys are hurting for, and I will try to provide. Trying to squeeze out my pennies worth here. Gotta get every drip. This is gonna be the last cup here. Whatever's left in this red Budweiser cup is the extent of the 6 Smirnoffs that I finished. You see 4 right here. I'm just gonna set them down right here and you'll see the tops of them, right? Those 4 right there. And then you got another one right here, another one right here, and then you got a 6th one. Okay, so 6 bottles. 6 bottles. You can see them sort of evenly distributed alongside here. Okay, and all these dudes are empty right now. Okay, so that's kind of where we're leaving this video. So me feeling borderline tipsy, maybe raising my eyebrows or sticking out my tongue a few extra times, feeling a little bit extra sociable, a little bit more outgoing about myself, but at the same time, I feel like I've told you pretty much everything there is to say about me, and that this would naturally be a good point to wrap up. But there's got to be one more topic because I still have one more drink left. This is going to be fucking 2 hours long probably. So. I don't know if you guys are Jules fans. As you can see, I'm not. Oh, sorry. I don't know if you guys are Jules critics. As you can see, I'm not because I'm a fan. 2 a.m. I'm just checking the weather on my phone, guys. Summertime. It's just 66 right now. I don't know if you guys can see it, but on Friday, we're looking at 102. St. Louis, Missouri. Even in the coldest cities in the world, the summer can get pretty nice. In Alaska right now, it's 59, but it's getting close to sunset there. It's the end of the day. Lake Havasu City, Arizona, pitch black, but still triple digits. Very hot night there. As are many for 3 or 4 months of the year. So. Seriously, it's like 100 degrees every goddamn day there for about 3 months, 3.5 months, I would say. Probably you're talking about mid-June to mid-September. It will not fail to come above 100 degrees. And then you'll have a handful of days from mid-May to mid-June, and then also from mid-September to mid-October. Probably 5 to 7 days on either side. 5 to 7 days mid-May to mid-June, and 5 to 7 days mid-September to mid-October. Or it can still come up to 100. So you're talking about not quite a third of the year, but more than a fourth. I mean, you're talking about roughly 30%, roughly 27 to 30% of days. Every like 2 and 7, for every 7 days in Phoenix, about 2 of them are 100 or plus. That's a lot. But like I said, cold weather bothers me a lot more than hot weather does. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I like about cold weather is snow. If it's gonna be cold, snow like a motherfucker. Like if I have to go to a cold climate, if I'm not gonna be living in Miami or Dallas or Phoenix or maybe San Francisco when I'm older, I'm going to like Boulder, okay? Because Boulder gets cold, but it's not so much that Boulder gets cold as Boulder gets snow, okay? They got a lot of snow. The only places that are snowier than New York, I mean, you'd be talking about upstate New York. You'd be talking about Syracuse, New York, maybe Rochester, New York, probably get 90 to 100 inches of snow per year. I think Boulder only gets about 81 or 82 inches of snow. So little, right? It's nothing. But still, it's less compared to those fucking New York upstate cities. I mean, it's not even beautiful there, right? Like October, November, it starts snowing, and you're like, oh yeah, it's beautiful outside. It's so white and powdery. It's like December, you're like, oh yeah, I've probably had enough of this. You know, it's been going on for a month. You know, we've had a lot of snow. It's been nice while it lasted, but I'm getting tired of it. And it just keeps going and going and going. You're talking about Rochester, New York, or even Boulder, but it's like you're talking about this fucking snowy ass cities. It's like once you get to February, you're like, oh my God, I'm so done with this snow. But March and April and sometimes a little bit of May, you're gonna get a lot more, right? And it's like it's all about coping with it, right? Because it's like some cities, right, and some cities in the middle of the country, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Illinois, maybe, right? Those kind of subtropical states, they get a little bit of snow, but not a whole lot. But if you go up to fucking Montana or Minnesota or Ohio, or Vermont, you're gonna get a lot of snow. And it's just, to some extent, it feels nice. 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 inches is good for a winter. But it just gets to be so much. It just gets to be so much. And it's just like, if I was going to live in a cold climate, I would want it to be snowing every day that it's under 32 degrees. Like every day that's freezing, every day that's cold enough to snow, I would want it to snow. But it's like, even with like with Boulder and Syracuse, they get a lot. People say New York is cold. It's not so much New York that's cold. It's New York that's cold. It's not so much the city that has ridiculously cold winters as it is the rest of the state. New York City gets chilly. They have consistent cold winters, but it's not ridiculous. Bundle up and you'll be fine. By the time you get to March or April, it's getting mild out. It's going to stay that way until November. You get 5 months of good weather there. May through September is beautiful. April and October they're not, I wouldn't go as far as to call them beautiful, but they're pretty nice seasons. They're not bad. The only like cold months potentially could be the 5 around the winter time, November to March. But everybody thinks that New York City is just this icebox, and it's like, that's only true to some extent. In the daytimes and the afternoons, in January it averages in the 30s, but it also doesn't drift too far from that. You're not going to see too many afternoons that don't come to at least 20 or 25 degrees. And you're not going to have a lot of nights that drop below zero. It just doesn't happen. Oh, it was sub-zero. It was in the negatives in New York. Not recently. Maybe in 2016. Right? That's not recent. So. All right, almost done, folks. 5 more minutes. I'm just finishing this up, but I'm not trying to blow up here. I'm not trying to have my stomach explode. 1 or 2 more minutes, folks. It's certainly been fun being with you guys for the ride. I don't know how many of you fuckers actually watched the whole thing. I hope you did. But just put some comments down here, because this is not the end of me. I'm going to be back doing YouTube videos, maybe for the rest of my life. I mean, maybe when I'm 81, I'll still make YouTube videos, okay? It's a little ways off, but we'll have to see. But it's cool. It's a cool channel. It's a cool website. I'm glad they have the service, video streaming and everything. Well, not streaming, but you know what I'm saying, like video services and playback and everything like that. So. And you can monetize videos too. Don't forget. I mean, if you're homeless or something, and you have a cool talent to display for someone, you just have like a hard time getting a job, you have a poor background check or something, you've made mistakes in the past, you've killed someone, but you still want to have a life, make a YouTube video. Do something, do something impressive. that people want to pay to watch, you know, because if people can't give you money for like a donation or whatever, you can monetize your videos. If your videos get popular enough, obviously you can put advertisements on it, right? Advertisements on it. And I don't know how many people make a living doing that, but it's got to be a few. You know, there's first time for everything. So almost done. I think if I'm not done with this drink in the next 10 minutes, you have my spoken word that I'm going to shoot myself in the head. So let's hope that that doesn't become a reality, because I don't even have a gun to do that with. 2:11 a.m. My stomach's full as fuck. And I'm slightly drunk. Pac-Man. Pac-Man, Pac-Man, Pac-Man. Well, it's done. Well, I finished the 6 screwdrivers. I hope that you enjoyed my video and learning more about who I am and what I spend a lot of time thinking about. Feel free to message me or comment below this video, but thanks for watching and please subscribe.